sort of into place. I'm going to start going with this opening pose, which is based on the planning that I had in my rough sketches. So really, I'm not going to be doing much of Maya tips and tricks sort of things. What I want to do is walk you through the choices that I'm making and why. Some of them are performance-based and some of them are staging-based. This one happens to be staging-based. If we take a look at the camera, I want to, wow, that's pretty close right there. I really want to get this leaned up and showing just enough that you know, that it really, let's get it, because I want that palm kind of turned up, and I want this blade up here to sort of be at a nice silhouette to read. And actually that looks pretty good, and I don't have to do much more with it after that because it's in IK mode and it's just going to stay right there unless I move it. I'll give it a little bit of life while I'm animating, but for now that is going to be what I'm going to base this pose around. So now that hand is sticking on that chair. I want him crouched down. Let's take a look at the camera view. Let's see how far we need to get him. I want him to be off to the side and not too far away. He should be relatively close. And let's spin this elbow down. Now I'm also going to be posing his feet. This is just, you know, maintenance sort of stuff. I don't want them to get kind of weirded out while I'm working. The knees start popping and buckling because that might affect something in what's being seen in the camera, and sometimes that affects cloth simulation and stuff if you're working with it. But also, I just like to know kind of what the general pose is that he's going to be in. What's the stance? What's his balance? Is he going to end up having to take a step because he's moving forward in some way, or is you know, or is this particular stance going to end up holding him through the whole thing? And I'm going to push this foot forward a little bit because I'm going to pretend like he probably doesn't have to move at all through this whole thing. It's probably going to be as wide as it gets right there. Actually, right now, start by getting his neck out there. Let's rotate his head up. And here's what I'm thinking. This initial pose is going to be really frozen, locked in this almost convulsive position. Not quite convulsive, that's probably extreme, but it's frozen in panic, really. So, you know, our neck tends to do that. We tend to crane it forward and grr, and you know, that always kind of goes in concert with that shrugging of the shoulder. I'm not going to go too high right now, but this relationship between head, neck, and shoulder kind of tends to work that way, where we go, you know, neck goes out, shoulders go up, head goes back, shoulders go down. It's very rare that we crane our neck back and put our shoulders up at the same time. I mean, we have to really try to do that. That's like showing disgust, and that's very theatrical looking. But in a natural sense, you know, that's sort of the natural dance between those two pieces of the body. So let's see. So, you know, I'm posing him. I just want to start doing this in the camera a little bit. I really want to get that shoulder hunched forward and up, and really get that tensed in there as much as I can without breaking the rig. I want to show tension. I want to tilt the head towards the little boy. And let's start thinking about these eyes right now really quick while I'm doing this. Let me just sort of say it's like right there. Let's move it over just a little bit. Look at that in the camera. Yeah, that's pretty, that'll do. Alright, so also I've got auto key on. It's kind of the way I've gotten used to working. I will set, and I should right now, hit the S key so it does key everything, but then I don't have to worry about hitting S every time I change something. It's recording the keys, and I kind of like it that way. Throughout this whole piece, he's very protective of himself, and I want to make sure that he keeps his shoulders is hunched in and his arms close to his body most of the time. You know, that because if this kid goes off, you know, you could bite him, you could spit on him, you could kick him. He just really wants to avoid that as much as possible. And what I'm going to do here, I mean, I have this opening pose. A lot of this opening pose that I'm going on is based off of, if I bring it down, is based off of this pose in my video reference that I recalled really liking when I was doing my planning. You probably remember, it was something like this. You know, this arched up. I've decided, and I did it in my sketches, that I kind of want to do that little finger point. Like, wait, this little like, okay, wait, before anything happens. So that's sort of the pose that I've worked out in my head and in my sketches to build off of from my video reference. I'm not necessarily going, for verbatim reenactment of my video reference. Really want to try to get an interesting finger pose out of this, and I'm going to play off the camera, but I'm going to curl this back a little bit. I want all of this, I'm going to hyperextend just a tad, again, because it's muscle tension. I want to convey a sense of a tightening of his whole body and panic. Because this could possibly lose him his job, because this might be the 100th time this happens. What I'm trying to do here is why I got the camera open, is because I want it to be inside the silhouette. That's going to help me sell the idea of him being having everything sort of tucked in close to his body. I can probably crane this neck just a little bit more because I'm not really feeling that tension as much as I want to. And again, I'm playing off the camera as much as I can. I want to tilt it this way because I want to get a nice curve. I want a full curve out of the pose graphically, just because it'll look nice. But I also want it to feel like he's trying to engage with the boy. All right, so let's get a face in there. Basically, pull up the UI here, and anything I do now is still keying. So, I've got some really nice controls in here. This is an earlier version of this rig. I know there's more. There's not even squash and stretch in the face in this rig, and I think that's a good challenge, because that is a luxury. All right, definitely the brows are completely furrowed. I want to get that mid-brow starting to get as worried as possible. Let's just push it all the way. Let's get these brows up here. Now, see, that's starting to look too relaxed. I might even be able to bring these sides down. I want like complete, holy crap, this could totally blow up in my face. Those eyes got to be like panicked, wide open. But the idea of a slight squint on the bottom is going to help sell that panic. Cranking him. Let's keep it up there. Let's get a little bit of a sneer in the nose because he's afraid, and actually he'd flare these nostrils too. This is a man in fear right now, because just don't know what's going to happen. Let me open his jaw a bit, because he wants to say something. I want to start this scene by him wanting to say something to put out the fire. That's what he's got to do as fast as possible. So his brain is going a mile a minute. Stretch that out. No, everything else will be fine. Let's pull this out a little bit. Might have that sort of that freaked out smile on his face, but I've got to contort it a little bit more, and this is where I'm going to have to go to the sculptures right away, because he doesn't have very many controls to work with in his face. So these sculptors I'm going to have to use right away, and I'm going to have to be really careful because they start to get wormy when you animate, but I will keep control of them. So if I can get that starting to get that little bit of panic on his face, or a lot of panic on his face, by curling that sneer. Let me open his mouth a little wider. He doesn't seem like he's caught in the middle of thought. And that's kind of what I want to open the scene with. I want you to see his thinking right away.